Hello, my name is Daniel Medina, and this is a podcast on the human nervous system. So first of all, I must say that the nervous system's main function is to obtain information from its surroundings and use that information to act, depending on what the information is, what the situation is, and it also sends signals from the brain, right here, to the rest of the body organs so that it can function properly. So it's the main function of the nervous system. Moving on, we will now look at the sense organs of the nervous system. And first of all, it's the eyes. First one is the eyes. The eyes are an organ of vision, and they're connected to the brain through the optic nerve, which you see right here. There's the optic nerve, and they can detect dim light, and the iris can contract in dim light. So basically what this is telling us is that the eyes changes depending on the situation. So that's a positive trait that the eye has. Next, right here we have the ear, or the ears I should say. And the ears is an organ of hearing. There are two ears to determine the direction and distance of sounds, and there are two semicircular circles to provide balance and orientation, and you can see them right here, two semicircular canals. So the ear basically works by the movement of fluids particles in the inner ear chambers over hair cells, and these hair cells send signals to the brain interpreted as motion and acceleration. So, and also the ear has the ability to recognize high and low pitches. So besides providing sounds, the ears also enable us to stay upright, because without the ears, if the ears weren't to exist, then we would probably fall down. We won't have balance. So that's something positive about the ears. Next, we have the tongue, which has these receptors called receptors of taste, called taste buds, and they're on the roof of the mouth and on the tongue. And they are able to detect basic tastes. And there's a nerve at the base of each taste bud, and it sends signals to the brain. And the tongue it's also important to note that the tongue is in coordination with the sense of smell. Next, we have the skin right here. Which enables us to feel. It's an organ of touch, and it's distributed throughout the whole body. And its nerve endings transmit these sensations to the brain. The part of the skin that has the more nerve endings, then it will have the greater sensitivity. And the hairs on the skin would magnify sensitivity. Then right here we have the nose. The nose is an organ that provides smell. It's responsible for the sense of smell, and it has mucous membranes that has smell receptors connected with the olfactory nerve. And well, this nerve would transmit the sensations to the brain. So that's basically the function of the nose. Now we will move on to see the brain and the spinal cord. So basically, there's the brain right here. It is the main control system. Brain. Main control system of the nervous system, and it receives and interprets information for the body to properly respond to it. So it interprets senses, and so as it obtains information, the brain obtains information that sends back information, so for the body to act. It also helps perform vital operations such as breathing, maintain blood pressure and hormones, etc. So everything our body does is directed by the brain. Next is the spinal cord. We can see right here, there's the spinal cord. Spinal cord right here. And this is the main conduit between the brain and the body. So the nerves, all the signals sent by the brain would pass from the brain to the spinal cord to the rest of the body. So messages that transmit sensations pass through the spinal cord, and it's probably the most protected part of the body, along with the brain as well. Because it's protected by the bones of skull and the spinal column, so it's a very important part of the body. If we were to lose, if we were to if some damage were to occur, like for example in this part, right here, then the signals from the brain won't be able to be transferred from this part down. So that's how some people get crippled, because if they some damage occurs, for example, right here, then the signals from the brain won't be able to pass down on to the rest of the body, while this part would still be working fine. So that's the brain and the spinal cord. Next here we can see the nerves. The nerves are very important. They carry electrochemical signals from and to the central nervous system. So they represent connections, and they are made up by neurons. So basically the function of the nerves right here would be to transfer the chemical signals. Let's say here's the brain, here's the spinal cord, and here's the rest of the body organs. So the nerves would transfer the signals to the organs and back to the brain, to the organs, back to the brain. And that way there's some kind of communication occurring, let's say that way. And there's several types of neurons. There's sensory neurons, motor neurons, receptors, and interneurons. So that would be the nerves. Now we can see that there are two types of nerves: sensory nerves and motor nerves. Basically, so motor nerves right here carry impulses from the central nervous system, which is the spinal cord and the brain, which trigger muscles to contract. So the brain and spinal cord would send signals to the organs, causing them to act depending on what the signal is. So let's see, motor nerves. They're efferent nerves. They control voluntary muscles. And motor nerves, it reaches a muscle, and it releases chemicals to stimulate muscle contraction. They provoke. It's important that you know that they provoke contraction, not relaxation. Because the muscles relax as those chemicals are broken down, as the chemicals released are broken down. Then there's also the sensory nerves right here. These are basically the opposite. They are vessels of the peripheral nervous system that carry signals toward the brain in response to stimuli. So basically what they do is they're afferent nerves. They collect signals from the environment and send it to the brain. They're composed of neurons, which are nerve cells, and extend this, and so basically what they do is they collect signals from the environment. So what they touch, as you touch something, you're feeling something, and that signal is sent on to the brain. The signals from the outside, basically. So those sensory and motor nerves, and that's the nervous system, and I hope that's helpful.